Peace, love, and balance, everybody. Peace, love, and balance, y'all. This your girl Isha, the goddess of wisdom, also known as Goddess on the Rise, the Copper Queen, the Flower Hootie Queen, bringing this sacred energy exchange 222, y'all. All right, y'all. So I believe it's Wednesday. So happy Witchy Wednesday. Let me make sure. I think it's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in to the channel. It's Thursday. Excuse me. Look, I can't keep up the name of the week. So it's Thursday, but I didn't get to do the Witchy Wednesday reading yesterday. I haven't done them in a while. So hey, this is what I'm doing today. So today I named this. I couldn't figure out what to name this. It's been on my heart. It's been on my spirit, and it's been on my mind heavy, y'all. Because as a well-known Bruja indigenous that practices several different things like Louisiana voodoo, Louisiana hoodoo, witchcraft, indigenous practices is where I'm going to be getting into all that today. And it's a lot of content going on out there right now. It was 111 as I was saying that. It's a lot of content out here right now. It's some kind of silent roar that's really rising. It's been happening for a while now. I've been talking about this stuff for so long, and so many other platforms has. The Nash really starting to come to the head. And this is the Great Awakening. And people may or may not be ignoring it because some people, these topics just, this is not something they're concerned about until it's something they need to be concerned about. Like with me as a Bruja, it ain't gonna be concerning until maybe somebody that's your mother or your cousin or your brother or whoever father getting targeted because of stuff just like it did back in the day. So I titled this the rising war on witches. You know what I'm saying? I believe that's what I called it. You know, because it is. It's starting back up again, and certain preachers, not all of them, but certain preachers. And I've been seeing a lot of them, a lot of melanated preachers, but that's another thing. Remember, I told y'all this war is not black versus white. This war is not black versus white. This is spirituality versus religion. That's the war we're in right now. And there are melanated and Caucasian and African and all kind of Christians, Chinese and all that. And then there are people that do not practice that and stuff. You know, they don't believe in it. And I'm one of those people. I do not practice traditional modern day Christianity. I did get raised that way, but I chose not to continue that practice as I got older because it just never sat well with me. So before I get started, I want to pull from my witch deck. I feel like this is somebody needs a witch message today. I haven't pulled from this deck in a while. Yeah, it's another deck I want to get. It's a very good deck that I highly recommend us. You know. So I highly recommend. It's a deck that I really need that's gonna help myself, obviously, but us collectively, okay? Especially on this platform. Thank y'all so much for logging in. Please like, share, and subscribe. So hold on, let me ring my bell before I start this reading and get this in tune with spirit. Let me do it first. Earth, air, fire, water. Spirits in universe, most high, higher self, and spirit guides a balanced light. Ancestors known and unknown, a balanced light. Please come into this space and provide us a message for all my witches, brujas, shamans, priestesses, priests, oracles of all kinds. Islam Hotel. So look, y'all. This is a card. I feel like we need to pull a card today before we get started to get us started off on what we need to focus on. And look what I call this: the war on witches, the hangman. Yeah, it's a lot of us out here probably been feeling it. Yeah, I've been feeling kind of chaotic right now with what's going on. You've been feeling it because we are all connected. So if us collectively starts channeling out our energy, we send each other messages. We feel it. You see what I'm saying? So the hangman card, I'm gonna show y'all this card again. This is an oracle deck that I have. The hangman card, it says you may not be content with your current circumstances and feel confined in a predicament or mental state that does not bring you joy. However, have confidence that you can free yourself from this situation, regain control of your future by employing the strength within. So some of y'all, if y'all recently are in a situation that y'all do not like this card is saying, and you're feeling a bit, you're not feeling as optimistic about how you can turn this life around, this is your reminder that you can. You are absolutely in control of your life. Y'all, I was listening to Mary J. Blige the other day, which is a well-known Christian, which is why my mother, when I was growing up, she didn't mind me listening to some of Mary J. Blige stuff, and her song called My Life. That song is a religious song that I still listen to. It's a beautiful song. You know, I don't look at it so deep into it. Like, I look at it the way it benefits me. So I still see the song is very useful for what I need. And it's a very uplifting song. Because she was like, take your time, you know, You the only person that really can change your life. She had the lyrics in the song telling you this is your life. Life is can be only what you make it. Yes. So just remember, life can be only what you make it. If you need to listen to that song by Mary J. Blige, I would highly recommend. It's called My Life. And she look, literally my life, and she's right, okay? So you at the bottom of the deck card is gonna be the Hermit. And y'all know this is associated with the Virgo. I am a Sun Virgo. What's up, Virgo? So look, I do feel like some isolation is coming through. I almost named this reading Solitary Witch, but I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that because we need each other right now. You know, we do. It got this is a time for introspection and spiritual awakening, as I just said that. Your journey of self reflection and personal growth can now begin. Utilize this enlightenment period to reconnect with your soul and gain insight into your true potential. Yes. So while you're going through this, that hangman energy is because this is the time. This is the time in your life where you need to be. This is your spiritual awakening. So that's what y'all been going through. When you go through that chaotic moment where you confused, you don't know which way to go. You know, you just all over the place. It feels like you're even seeking, like you may be studying stuff, you're questioning what you've been doing recently, if you want to keep doing this versus start doing this. All that is spiritual awakening energy, and we have to it says use this period of time to reconnect with your soul. So do whatever you can to figure out what your soul wants. Okay, not even your flesh. This is soul deep. This is a soul's mission because we are souls. Okay, we're about to get into. I'm about to get cover all this stuff. This is a deep read. So that was the message. Y'all know if y'all would like to get message to me, I am doing 50% off on all my readings except for my ancient Kimmy reading and my ancestor readings for the remainder of the holidays. Okay, Sacred Energy Exchange 222 is how you can reach me. Sacred Energy Exchange 222 at gmail.com. Okay, so before I get started, I know I've been talking for a minute. I want to show y'all a couple of things I got in stock. So first, I want to show y'all my raw candle. Something told me to bring raw out because if you do not know, I have a Yule market coming up where we celebrate the rebirth of the sun. AKA, if you work with any sun deities, you can work with anyone you want, male or female, to give gratitude to the sun. All right, but we know the sun is considered the masculine in our sky shining bright, and the moon is considered the feminine in our sky, in our night sky shining bright. Okay, so celebrating, paying homage to the sun, any sun. This and Ra is the sun as well, or whatever deity you see fit. And y'all know I practice ancient Kemet magic, so this will be the deity that I will be paying homage to. And you can just use a yellow candle as well. Okay, all right. If you can't get that, so also y'all know I got my unks. Y'all know I got my unks. Christmas is a Christian holiday that I do not celebrate, but you are happy to do that on your own. All right. So look, this is the unks, y'all. Very powerful unks. All right. Y'all know this is the voodoo dolls. Get y'all voodoo dolls. Please and thank y'all. Get y'all voodoo dolls. I just talked about more about those. Y'all know, get y'all grist bags. All right. We gonna y'all gonna need this red brick dust. Get y'all some red brick dust. I carry red brick dust. Get y'all some, and especially right now. Okay. Get y'all ancient Kemet tarot deck that I sell. These are the decks on my website, Goddess on the Rise of Life. All this is on my website. All right. I got sage. I said sage, excuse me. I got sea moss. Sea moss, y'all. I did forget, I forgot my black soap, but y'all know I got African black soap now. Y'all know I got shea butter. All right now. And y'all know I finally got the bottles back in stock. Copper bottles, y'all. Copper bottles back in stock. Stay hydrated. Keep your water purified, okay? They are on my website, guys, on the Rise of Light. Y'all, so I will have, like I told you, I will have my Euro market coming up this Sunday on December 21st from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time if y'all would like to stop by. And then I'm going to be at Kwanzaa, Nashville that following Friday. I believe it's Friday, the 26th. Whenever the 26th is, that's when I'll be there at the Plaza Mariachi as well. They start at 5 p.m. too, and I'll be there. I won't be able to do readings, so if you want to read by me, if you decide to come, they don't allow you to do readings at that venue, I guess. So I'm just gonna be selling my product, okay? So please come out. So now that we got that out the way, that was 9 minutes and 46. Now that we got that out the way, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe. And I did not plan this out. I tell people sometimes when spirit lead me to talk about stuff, this stuff has kind of been boiling over for the last, I would say couple of months. I just been sitting back, keeping quiet about a lot of stuff that's been out here on the news locally. That's what it's on. It's stuff hits the news and then it hits all the social media stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're the news report for a lot of people. So first, I want to start off about that TikTok incident. Okay, that TikTok incident. That where that woman asked, she was like faking like she had a baby crying in the background, which I thought was strange. I didn't agree with that. But whatever her agenda was behind why she did this and whatever point she was trying to prove, I feel like she proved it. So she was calling around with a fake baby, asking for a fake baby crying in the background, asking churches for formula, and nobody had any baby formula. Now, in my experience as a person that used to go to church, we never used to carry baby formula. Either baby stuff is like for something like WIC or something like that. They don't, churches typically, sometimes they do carry diapers and baby formula and baby food. Like, I'm not saying we never had it, but it was not something I, from what I remember, was very common in churches. But some churches do though. But every church just doesn't. They typically, carry food and toiletries and tissue and all that. So she was making a point that, I mean, they said they didn't have it. They didn't say she couldn't have it if they have it. And then one of the churches specifically said they take care of their members first before they take care of other people. And I don't think that was wrong of them. That's why we need covens, y'all. We need to stop going to them that don't like us as brujas and witches and warlocks, asking them to take care of us, and instead of us working together. This is what this is showing us that we're gonna have to do. Okay, but I will say this. I know some of these churches are wondering why is everybody always coming to us. They try to act like they don't know. Well, that's because y'all took everything. Y'all know I did my live about witchcraft versus Christianity and the black law and the black laws, codes, and all this stuff about how they colonize anybody. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity was. The Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church took over everybody, and everybody was forced to become Christians and leave this type of practice alone because it was demonized completely and it was actually against the law. It was against the law. So that gave Christian empires enough time to rise above everything, just like colonization and the indigenous peoples of the land. It gave them a head start for a long time and a brainwashing of our practices, spiritual practice for a long time because we was out of practice for so long with this, hold on, with this Bible that we forgot about this. I'm about to get into it. We forgot about this being forced to practice this. And they didn't start removing laws. They didn't start, I'm going to sit this right here. They didn't start removing laws and making it legal again for us to practice spiritual practices, specifically indigenous practice, and witchcraft was not against the law anymore. By that time, everybody was Christians and people were scared of it. Let's ring the bell. They couldn't speak their original tongues anymore. And they had demonized it so much they was afraid of it. And I've been around people like that. People that you are afraid of your own ancestors' spiritual practices well before, Christianity. And it has been proven that Christianity was not around longer than spirituality. Spiritual practices, paganisms, and all different kind of stuff. It's still very new, like 1,000 years old. And we have stuff that's dating back 6,000, 8,000, and 10,000 years ago. So we're going to let a short period of time brainwash us and wipe all our ancestors away. And we wonder why we're so disconnected and cause each other so much harm now. See what I'm saying? And can't come together. Not all the time. Like, thankfully, I'm around a bunch of people. Like, I refuse to be around people that can't come together. So I'm coming together with communities. That's why I didn't name this one the Solitary Witch. I'm coming together with communities. We don't have no choice. I told you, a solitary witch doesn't just become one. It's because we're not accepted. So we're gonna, instead of faking like we're something that we not, we continue to embrace who we was, even if that meant we didn't have a coven or a tribe or a community. And thankfully for me, I have plenty of people that accept me and have no issues with me whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And I'm happy about that. You know what I mean? But I know everybody, that's not your story. So I told you, I remember we pulled the hermit card. Stay in solitude until you find your tribe so you won't get hurt or get yourself in some situations. I promise you it's not worth it. I've been in solitude for a long time before I started coming into alignment with the people that I know wouldn't cause me any harm. You see what I'm saying? Because back then, wives And husbands and mothers and fathers was turning their kids in, their wives in, saying, yeah, she's a witch, just so they were scared to get killed or found out about being associated with a witch. So they would turn them in, their own flesh and blood, or their spouses sometimes. Even their grandmama. They had grannies and stuff locked up. That's why they have something called granny magic now. You know what I'm saying? They had old women locked up because she's an old shaman woman. See what I'm saying? And they were scared, so you get your grandmama locked up. This stuff been terrible, y'all. So the some Louisiana pastor, after this phone call happened, and this TikTok went live viral, and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all already know about it, but some of y'all may not. But the video went viral, and they said this Louisiana pastor says a woman had a spirit of a witch after she called seeking baby formula. And I'm like, so why did she have to be a witch? Why couldn't she just be an S starter? Because honestly, to me, that was some form of some starting some mess up. Like what? Because I didn't care when I first heard about it. That's why I never got on here and talked about it. What was the purpose of her doing this? Like, what point was she trying to prove that I feel like we don't already know from history that Christians don't like witches and they gonna do what they do? You know, what was the point of calling that church and doing that anyway? So whatever her agenda was, I don't know. I don't know if she knows. You know, we never know. But it started some mess. As soon as this woman did that, they blaming a witch. That's how easy it is to be considered a witch. Why did she have to be a witch? Why she couldn't just be a woman starting some shit? That's what I'm saying. What is up with that? Why do we have to get blamed for everything that somebody does? That's just like, if y'all can't pretend like y'all don't know this. That's just like anytime somebody got raped, and we know this has been in history, they'd be like a black man did it. You know what I'm saying? Look at Emmett Till. Every time, like no, like and it's been proven that we don't even have a high rate of doing that. It's not even in our culture to do that. It's something we have a reputation for. Not saying that it has never happened, but we don't have a high history and reputation of that in large numbers. Like that. It's just, but or theft. Somebody stole something. Somebody broke in. Oh, it must have been a black man. I think a black man did it. They used to just blame everything on a black man or a woman because of the color of skin. So now they're using that same technique. It's the same technique just towards witches. Everything is a witch fault. It must be her or it must be him. All right. So these churches, I'm gonna tell you another thing. See, this is what's happening because you never see me coming on here, going on here talking about don't go to church. I have plenty of clients that go to church. I practice hoodoo, and a lot of them go to church. And thankfully, the churches they go to, I don't think they're dealing with this type of stuff, which is good. Which is so that's why I have no issues with that. But for some reason, there's several videos recently. It must be because these churches are losing their members, are really making videos about church witches in churches now and how to spot them and how we got to get them out of our churches now. And I'm like, dang. So Wiccans and hoodoos that still identify as Christians, make sure this is not happening in your church. But I feel like y'all will know that because these pastors are getting on pulpits speaking about this. It's a pastor. I don't like giving people names. I don't like, that's another thing. I ain't doing it on my platform. You find out, if you find them, you find them. But there's a lot of people on platforms. They got big churches, small, it don't matter. Because everybody went on YouTube back in 2020 when they couldn't have members come to church. So many YouTube pastors got like YouTube channels now talking about everything. And they are going in. We had that preacher here in Mount Juliet in Tennessee going in. So now I'm gonna show y'all this lady. The main one that got brought up, her name is Ayanla Vanson. We're gonna talk about her. She is a well-known melanated woman that identifies as a preacher, and she's a Yoruba priestess as well. So she's not a Christian that I know of. But she could, because she's like bluntly out of her mouth says she identifies as a Yoruba priestess, and she uses scriptures at times to quote scripture. So she might practice hoodoo, which is something which is something that most of these Christians that get on these platforms. Somebody like did a whole video about her talking about Oprah that's supposed to be a devout Christian, be taken up for her. So they calling Oprah a hypocrite now because she had her on Oprah's show. They was talking about how she be using anybody that quote scripture doesn't mean they they know what they talking about, or they of God and they're not. And they calling this woman a demon, y'all. They calling this woman a demon, and she's a Yoruba priestess. So that's why I be trying to tell people. So I'm gonna tell y'all nothing. I have never received more discrimination from being a bruja than I have from my own people, melanated people. And that's true. I just posted a video on my store, and it's still up there about a dude. He got Jesus is King on his hat, and I be trying to tell people Jesus didn't hate Christians. I mean, Jesus didn't hate witches, and he wasn't even a Christian. So you can't be a follower of Yeshua and then hate witches. Jesus loved everybody. Yeshua loved everybody. He didn't judge anybody. He welcomed all. That's why he was so powerful. So I'll be like, y'all don't even know what y'all talking about with that. But he's trying to, everybody try to use Yeshua, aka Jesus' name, to justify the harmful behavior and the hate that they have towards so many different types of people. And it's been insane for so long. And I know for a fact that people are waking up to that. I know for a fact that people have been waking up to that, okay? The same Christians that's told us it was okay for them to colonize the indigenous Americans of these lands are the same Christians that colonized us and hate witches and everything else too, and burned them and all that kind of stuff. How did they God tell them that this was okay? Of people that wasn't causing nobody no harm. They was practicing in their own free will, on their own, minding their own business, on the land, just chilling, riding horses, whatever they was doing their ceremonies, and here they come demonizing their spiritual practice and telling them, oh, you need this Bible. You need this Bible. So that's another thing. We wouldn't even have the Bible if none of that took place. We didn't have a Bible. Okay? We didn't have a Bible. That's in history too. So we have created things like hoodoo and voodoo from slavery, being enslaved with this. Because it was forced upon us. I'm about to read about that. I'm gonna get back to this how they just demonized Miss Ayanla Vanzant, if you know anything about her. So right here, I posted this on my page. If you follow me on the Follow Hoodie Queen, I really try to keep us up to date with a lot of stuff. Okay, so this is about Louisiana voodoo origins. It has the voodoo religion practiced in New Orleans is based on voodoo beliefs brought over from Haiti and Africa by slaves that were then fused with Roman Catholicism. We just talked about that of the slave owners. In the same way the Catholic worship saints, practitioners of a voodoo honor ancestor spirits or lords through ritual song, dance, and drumming. The religion involves slavery. It involves blood. It was something that the slave owners could never take from us. It was survival. Yes. So we wouldn't even be incorporating Roman Catholicism, and we had to combine indigenous practices and so much stuff in one thing if it weren't for us having to do it due to slavery. That's another thing that these Christians on these platforms don't know, and they don't care to learn. And some of them do know, y'all. That's another thing. Some of them do know, but they're brainwashed, and the use of the way that they're using the Bible has worked for so long. It's about the money. That's what I said. These pastors, the pastor I'm talking about specifically, he got out and he was sleeping with all the women in his church. Meanwhile, he was showing all his flashy cars and helicopters and all this other stuff. It's so many of them too. So y'all, if y'all know a couple of them, it's many of them. So half the time, why have we never heard of a witch exploiting a church or a coven for that matter? Let's talk about that. Why have we? I'm not saying it ain't happened, but I have never heard about witches having sex with all their coven members, or witches using members for money to buy helicopters and cars and mansions while they coven members are going broke, trying to make them live a lavish life just for preaching to them. When have you heard of these things? I want to know. If y'all know some stuff, I'm for real, send it to me, because y'all know I speak on all kind of stuff. And I'm not saying they don't exist. I just recently came across some people, some two voodoo women that was going back and forth about some stuff. And that's another thing in the spiritual world. Now we fighting in the spiritual world, and we don't need to be fighting in the spiritual world. That's crazy. Competing and fighting in the spiritual world in the world is just, it's not necessary. It shouldn't be. But now a lot of people are practicing about who knows more and who is smarter than the other person, instead of us. If somebody don't know something, because I tell you all the time, I do not know everything. I'm an active student, always learning. That's why I still read. I ain't never stopped studying. I'm still studying. I'm still reading. I'm never going to stop. You know what I'm saying? My mentor has passed away, and I chose not to get another one. You see what I'm saying? So I'm doing my own work now. I decided to step into that role. You know what I mean? So now let's get to Louisiana hoodoo. So that was New Orleans voodoo that I just read to y'all. Louisiana hoodoo is practiced in Louisiana using African indigenous, French, Spanish, Caribbean, and traditional spirituality, also using elements of voodoo and Catholicism and is most known for its elaborate rituals and collaboration of spirits. Okay, so the person this man I was talking about had this laugh about Ayanla Vanson was talking about how she was speaking about Yoruba priestesses and how she working with her ancestors, and he was saying that was a sin right there because she be trying to act like she's a Christian, meanwhile she saying she a Yoruba priestess. So this is my thing: what's the difference between the Father Ra, Son God, and the Father Jesus, the Son God? They both deities. And if you do not know, Jesus came from Ra or Horus, you know what I'm saying? So the stolen legacy of Christianity copying off of ancient Kemet is well known. And if you don't know, you know now. So Jesus and they were saying, because she was worshiping, talking to her ancestors, right? So when we talk to our ancestors, they call us devil worshippers. They call us, we celebrate, worship death. So they don't want you as a hoodoo, as a voodoo, as some of these Christians, not all of them, talking to your ancestors because that's demonic, right? Meanwhile, they use Jesus' name that has been dead and gone for I don't know how long. And ancient Kemet was around before Christ. That's why they be having BC on different topics before Christ. Christ is not the only way to salvation. He wasn't the original way to salvation. He was a man of his time, just like Noble Jew Ali, just like Malcolm X and Fred Hampton and Martin Luther King, Mansa Musa. He was a man of his time, a prophet of his time. He said so many times, don't worship me, but we still doing it and justifying using his name to just demonize everybody else. And I'm sick of seeing this mess. Okay, I ignore it for the most part, but I'm so sick of seeing this, them reusing the Lord's name in vain, as they say. I grew up when they said that. So let's talk about our passing brother D'Angelo, okay, who was a well-known Christian that practiced voodoo. Okay, so I posted this on my page too. If you have not seen it, you should go and look at it. Okay, excuse me, y'all. D'Angelo was a well-known singer, okay, a musician that passed away recently for cancer. RSVP, rest his soul, and may the ancestors rest in peace. So even he stated this in 2000. This is 25 years ago. It has right here: voodoo is an ancient African tradition. We use voodoo in the drums or whatever the cadences and call out to our ancestors, and that in itself will invoke spirits. And music has the power to do that, to invoke emotions, evoke spirits. That's something I learned in church when I was very young, and that's what I wanted to get across. So when he had that album called Voodoo, if y'all do not know, he had a whole album called Voodoo he dropped years ago. And I personally don't think we wasn't woke enough for that album back then. That album dropping right now would have hit the charts. Hit the charts. But he was woke before his time. He was woke before his time, before we was caught up in that energy. You know what I mean? We was so many people I know for a fact was still scared of voodoo back then, especially in the 2000s. You say the word voodoo, you going to hell. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody's community, but a lot of communities was like that. Mine was. You better not say voodoo in my mama house. You know what I'm saying? Don't say voodoo, hoodoo, nothing. Don't say witch, nothing. It's Jesus all day long. That's all they want to hear. That's the brainwashing. So nothing is new about the practices of voodoo and the combination of Roman Catholicism. Nothing is new. And he learned this in church. He learned about voodoo in church. That lets you know whatever church he grew up in, they was still holding on to their traditions, even though they was Christians. Because remember, Christianity was never a choice that we made on our own. It was forced. And it's like they want to skip that whole chunk of history. They want to skip that whole chunk of history and manipulate the story of Jesus Christ to justify their behavior, and it's sickening. It's sickening. So, we're about to hit on a lot of stuff. Let's get into Catholic saints. Hold on, let's do this first. I'm gonna read this first. Let's get into New Orleans voodoo, okay? So, This is all this stuff I have posted on my page. Y'all know y'all can go back and look at it. If you need it sent to you, you can DM me, okay, or email me. It got Louisiana voodoo, also known as New Orleans voodoo, describes a seat of spiritual folk ways which originated from the traditions of the African diaspora. It is a cultural form of the Afro American religion, which developed within the French, Spanish, and Creole speaking African American population of the United States of Louisiana. I'm going to stop right there, okay? So, if you do not know, I recently shared a video on here about Diddy, and this person did this video about a year ago. If you go down on my post here on YouTube, you'll see it. It's not that far away, but Diddy has a tattoo of a voodoo priest Aloha on his back called Azuli Dancer. She is a Haitian voodoo, well known Loa. Okay, yes, Haitian voodoo. I'm gonna do that live soon, but this is a little bit different. Haitian voodoo and voodoo and Louisiana voodoo are different, as you heard here. It is based in it was made and created in the U.S. Okay, by African Americans and some of them Afro American religion and French and Spanish and Creole speaking people. Okay, that's why you do see some Spanish speaking people that practice voodoo. Yeah, they know we got mixed up. We got mixed in together. Okay, because they hated us all. Because Spanish people are from have ancestry in Africa too. That some of them like to deny. They don't like to, embrace that part of them. Some of them do, some of them don't. Okay, so I practice. That is why I practice New Orleans voodoo, and I do not practice Haitian voodoo or voodoo. Okay, because you do have to get initiated into Haitian voodoo and voodoo, and that's another thing. Let's get back to these voodoo dolls. They do not practice with voodoo dolls. See, that's another thing. This is an American-made tool. Just like Kwanzaa, y'all. Kwanzaa is an American-made holiday. I know it's a lot off topic, but it's a lot of holidays that us as Americans, due to what we've been going through here, had to create on our own to stay connected. Okay, so we had our own creations, American hoodoo and all that. This is our creation. So even voodoo, that's why the voodoo dolls are used in Louisiana voodoo. We created this practice of using voodoo dolls. Not, Louisiana Haitian voodoos, they don't even have voodoo dolls and their stuff. So some people, they say you got to get initiated to practice voodoo. No, you don't. Not Louisiana voodoo. If you're an American melanated person, you have the right to practice voodoo and hoodoo by blood, by birthright. Okay, because this is it's a practice that was built in while we were enslaved. Okay, for our survival, like I just read. Who else would do it? We still here, and other people are doing. That's another thing. Let's ring the bell on that. Other people they don't have ancestors that like this. They doing it. They're doing it. So getting back to these preachers now that's going on these platforms, why do they feel the need to go on platforms speaking against a practice that if they knew more about it, or maybe they do know about it and they just choose to turn a blind. Some of them know about this stuff, y'all, and they're lying to you because they know that they are acting in the image of Jesus. Let's ring the bell, okay? Don't get it twisted. Most of these preachers will never tell you to your face, but you are worshiping them. You ain't worshiping Yeshua. They use Yeshua too much. Yeshua not here. You worshiping them. That's who you giving your money to. That's who you paying your money that you didn't pay your light bill on. And you still got to go ask the church for some money or for some food. You are worshiping them. Okay? You are worshiping them. Because Jesus didn't have no church. Yeshua didn't have no church. He had followers. He had followers. He didn't have a church. So let's keep reading right here. It says right here. It has voodoo is one of the many incarnations of African-based spiritual folk ways rooted in West African Dahomean voodoo. See, it's based off voodoo. Voodoo became synchronized with the Catholicism and Francophone culture of South Louisiana as a result of the slave trade. That's on record. Louisiana voodoo is often confused with, but is not completely separable from Haitian voodoo and Southern hoodoo. Okay, let's ring the bell. Yes, it gets confused. That's why there is a Louisiana voodoo, which I just read to y'all, and hoodoo. That is still different from Southern hoodoo. There's different kinds. It's literally different kinds. But it says separate. It's not completely separable from Haitian voodoo, which is why They still have the same, some of their deities are still the same. Okay? So we got right here. It differs from voodoo in its emphasis from upon gris gris voodoo queens' use of hoodoo occult paraphernalia and Lee Grand Zombie Snake's deity. It was through Louisiana voodoo that such terms as gris gris and voodoo dolls were introduced into the American lexicon. Yes, okay? So y'all remember, let me pull that back up, the bags, the gris gris bags. That's why I call this gris gris bags, okay? This is a originally American term that was created through Americans and voodoo dolls. That got introduced through us. So that's another thing. We added, this is our creation as Americans. We and that's another thing. The enslaved descendants of the voodoo people that came over here. That remember I showed you all this got mixed, how we got mixed in together. They're pretty much us now. That's what people don't get, because most of them never went back to Haiti. They got enslaved. So as we've been enslaved, we've been still here. Whether they were Haitian at the time, they started breeding with us Americans, and we created voodoo together because they shared their practices with the indigenous peoples here in this land, and them. That's how it's been, y'all. So now that blood has been mixed up so thick. If you do know of some Haitian ancestors that you do have, and you good for you. But if you don't know, and if you've been having this calling, this is because your ancestors are speaking to you because of this truth right here. Okay, and I'm about to get to something. This is in this book that I've been reading. Okay, so this Trail of Tears book I've been telling y'all about. That's why I was having a hard time with how I was gonna name this reading, but this is in the book. If you do not know this, it has right here. This is a tribe that joined together back in the day. This is the Red Sticks Revolutionaries, Cherokees, Tennesseans, and Louisiana and Mississippi joined together and formed a militia against the white colonizers. Let's ring the bell. Yes. So that's why Mississippi and Louisiana and Tennessee so tight now. And we got so much stuff that we have so much connections with. We had a militia we formed back then because we were sick of this mess. So some of y'all, that's what I said, look at that. Some of y'all, and this is in the book. That was on page 106. Remember, I told you I don't know if this book is in hardback form or not. I've never seen it. So if it's in hardback book, it may not be on the same page. But this was on page 106. If you want to find it, I'm going to show the book again. It's called Trail of Tears, the Rise and Fall of the Cherokee Nation. So yes, they formed militias back then together. The Louisianas and Mississippi and Tennessee together to fight. We've been together for a long time. So some people that may not feel like because I'm not New Orleans born, I can't practice it. I'm pretty sure, because when I got this calling, y'all, I actually ran from it. I'm gonna keep it real. I ran from it because I was like, and I kept it a secret. I didn't want nobody to know that I was practicing voodoo or learning voodoo, because I personally feel like some people still do this. It's okay if you want to keep it private. Private really gives you a shield. So me, the only reason why I'm even talking about it is because I sell the tools. So obviously, as a person selling the tools, you're gonna have to teach people. You can't, I prefer to be able to teach people that buy stuff from me. So that was the main reason I came out about it. If I wasn't selling stuff and doing what I'm doing on YouTube, I wouldn't even be talking about this. It's if you want to keep it private, keep it private. You don't have to have nobody knowing all your business, okay? But yes, it has right here. It got right here. This is their comments back then, and this is just back then. Take it how you want to take it. It got right here. You yourself can see that the white people are entirely different beings from us. We are made from red clay, and they are made of white sand. They was pissed. They was talking amongst each other. And then they was getting mad when they found out they was meeting up. Okay, so it got right here. They began to question the white man, the so-called Christian. Do they fight? They had the Old Testament to authorize warfare on us, and God's mission through the New Testament, which and said to forgive your enemies, to do good to those who spiteful use you. So they was sitting amongst each other like, do you hear this stuff they've been teaching us, y'all? Should we fight? They was literally conversating about this Christian Bible coming onto their lands and how it was just tearing them apart. Okay, so of course they was being watched. So this is when they was finding out people was watching them. It got right here. Who in the hell was the government of the Cherokees? It got, where is such a government located? Where are its courts? Let's talk about that. It got, its judges are still on horsebacks. They hold session under trees. There is no Congress they are or no standing committees. The laws are those of the witch doctors. Let's ring the bell, okay? So let's get back to that term. Let's read that again. It got their laws are those of the witch doctor. Okay, you can't negotiate a treaty with the chiefs who want to not. You cannot negotiate a treaty with the chiefs who want no treaty for God's sake. So they was mad because they couldn't get through to them back then, and that's how the term witch doctors came about. Yes, it was a colonizer's term. So that's why there are people that don't like to be identified as a witch that practice hoodoo and voodoo, and I totally respect that, okay? I totally do. But let me tell y'all, whether you practice Yoruba, you see they calling that sister Ayanya Vincent a witch, they don't give a F-U-C-K what the hell you practice. You a witch to them. You ask for milk, you a goddamn witch, apparently. You see what I'm saying? Y'all better watch out, okay? This is the stuff I've been studying, y'all. This is in this book. This book is loaded, baby. Y'all gotta keep reading out here, okay? But for those of y'all that haven't been able to, I'm gonna keep letting y'all know what it is, okay? So so this is what they did when they seen them forming that militia and fighting back. So that's why I tell you the Black Panther Party is not the first time we formed militias to protect each other and fight back. They put right here, make the laws tough enough to drive them out of the state. Their only obstacle seemed to be the United States government. The Tennesseans, it got right here, the Tennessee School of the American Board was expected to be the first of several in the Cherokee Territory. The half-breed children, knowing some English, held an advantage of the full-bloods. Okay? So they opened up a Tennessee school. It was called the Tennessee School of the American Board. Okay, where they started. This is how they started. Remember before gentrification happened when they had us all in separate schools, right? The first blacks this is the start of that. They didn't want us in the same schools with them, so they started a school specifically for us that they was teaching us one thing and teaching the white kids another thing. Okay? That's what this came from right here. All right. So, and they didn't like full bloods. They did not like the full bloods. And we about to get into that. They didn't like full bloods. So they like the mixed bloods and the Native Americans better than us. And we about to get into that. Okay. So it got right here. The missionaries glorified the Indians who were willing to accept the new culture and offended by those children and Indians who were unable or unwilling to or to budge. They began to make code letters on students' applications. So they had code letters for obedient slaves versus disobedient slaves. You know what I'm saying? So they can know this person that's going to be a problem right there. We got to watch him. We got to watch her. It got right here. Let's go ahead. It got right here. So they started doing MD and FB. So I think it was mixed blood. Yeah, MB versus FB. Mixed blood versus full blood. That's what they started doing. So people that had FB was full blood. People that had MB was mixed bloods. They started doing that. We didn't even know what that stuff was meaning back then because most of us barely knew how to speak English, and a lot of them didn't know how to read it. They was completely illiterate. They were. So I tell people, I'm going to tell y'all, don't ever make fun of somebody that's illiterate. Illiterate just means they did not understand that language because it wasn't their original language. That does not mean they're dumb or slow. Okay, we got to stop thinking that. It is messed up, especially today, to be illiterate because there's so much education out there. But it just means they didn't understand that language and they didn't know how to read it or comprehend it. But they may know how to speak it better than read it. And a lot of them were like that back then. And then they made them that way because they didn't teach them how to read their language first. They taught them how to speak their language first and then try to teach them how to read it. And that was hard. All right, so we got right here. So it got most full-blooded children simply did not learn. The full-blooded children were unable to read words or numbers. They know of Christianity and white people, and they were irritated by those mixed bloods who catered to white people and teachers. So yeah, it started being a beef between pure blood versus mixed bloods and the Cherokees. And the Cherokees. Okay. Now, before I read this next part, I want to read something that I pulled up because it's a lot of talk about. Well, I know it's a lot of incidents with the Cherokee, with the indigenous Americans versus the Native Americans. I want to talk about that, both indigenous, but the American Indians. That's for better words. The American Indians versus the Native Americans. Okay, so You can find this online easy, okay? I'm going to show y'all right here if y'all want to screenshot that, but I'm going to read it to you. You got right here. Native Americans originally came from Asia, okay? With their ancestors migrating to the Americas thousands of years ago across the Bering Land Bridge, Beringia, connecting Siberia and Alaska during the last ice age. Just ring the bell. Okay? Y'all heard that. Spreading south and east to populate the continents, though some also arrived via coastal routes, with diverse groups from Siberia and East Asia forming the genetics foundation. Okay, so look, Native Americans are not from America. I learned this in elementary school. Y'all see, they don't teach this in school no more, and I think it's wild that they don't. I learned this. Well, I actually learned this from my grandparents, but I also learned this in elementary school. See, when I was growing up, I done lived in Springfield, Tennessee, and I done lived in White Creek, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, Shelbyville, Tennessee, and they used to teach this stuff back then in schools. It wasn't a secret because they had us under control by then. We was going to church every Sunday, getting baptized by the blood of Jesus, raising our crosses. So hearing this, we thought them were different people from us because they were. They totally excluded the American Indians in the teachings growing up a lot of times, and they only spoke about the Native Americans. So we would not feel connected to them in some kind of way, making them think that they were the original people of the Americas, and they wasn't. They migrated him. And just like when I'll go back and watch my roots, returning to your roots video, where I talked about how the Moors helped were the ones that helped the Europeans, because Europe was originally not Caucasian. We helped them learn how to bathe, how to stand, how to walk, and all that. The same thing with the Native Americans. We taught them our spiritual practice, and they just turned they back on us when the colonizer came. That's them. I know a girl right now, a melanated woman like me, and I love her to life and back. And her Native American boyfriend slash baby daddy was the family in Oklahoma, was violent towards her. They were mean towards her because she was a Negro. Y'all know I did a live about that. Go watch the video because she was a Negro. So they've been brainwashed for years to hate us. Not all of them, but some of them. I've been seeing them going on their pages talking about we need to, get back with our brothers and sisters. And I appreciate them that's doing that now. But it's a lot of them, just like Africans, right? Some Africans don't like Americans. It's always somebody got a problem with the indigenous Americans. You want to know why? Because ICE can't effing come get us, okay? That's why. They want to so bad, though. They trying to find ways, too. They trying to find ways, but they can't come get us. And that's why most people hate us. We Americans. We Americans. Baby, y'all. That's what said this. And now everybody's seeing how it feels to be put through genocide. You don't think, you know how many ancestors that we don't know and we got disconnected from a long time ago to do to this? And this ICE stuff is breaking everybody's heart. It's messed up. But what about what happened to us and our ancestors and how much we have been destroyed and how we still destroyed now? We got a long way to go. We got a long way to go. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for the likes, okay? So look, here we go. This is some more stuff. It got right here. The FBI's medicine, the full, remember they say the FBs, my bad. The full bloods medicines was abhorrent to the missionaries. The shamans or conjurers or witch doctors, as the missionaries preferred to call them, were the devil, pure and simple. Satan possessed. You see what I'm saying? The colonized Christians been calling us conjurers, witch doctors, and shamans. Y'all know I tell people I identify as a shaman, as an indigenous woman, because I can. But I've heard people say, you're not a shaman. Don't call yourself a shaman. That's where these terms came from. They were calling the shamans conjurers, which is why I have the Witches Conjuring Festival that I host. Please come next year. We're going to be doing it big. It got of the witch doctors, as the missionaries prefer to call them, were of the devil, pure and simple, Satan possessed. Stupid creatures. Dang. Okay? They called us stupid creatures. This is back then. And look what's happening now. It's so much current stuff taking place. It's so much current stuff taking place that sounds just like this stuff right here. This book was written like in the 80s, I think. Let me see. I thought it was written older than that. Yeah, this book was published in 1988. So it says 1988 and 1989. So around that time. So it's same age as me. Approximately the same age as me. All right. So yeah, they considered shamans, conjurers, witch doctors, devils, Satan possessed stupid creatures. Golly, this is in this book, y'all. This is in this book. It got the blacks were kept under deplorable conditions. So this is when they started really demonized. See, the blacks are the American Indians. Yes, let's talk about that. That's why they separate the term Native American and then they call us black. Every time you hear them talking about black, they're talking about the copper-colored indigenous people of the land. Because they don't like calling us by our titles, American Indians. So it got right here. Blacks were not to be accepted as family, were not taken as wives or husbands, were not taught to read, write, or figure, or to figure out was not allowed. Oh, hold on, what they saying? Excuse me. They were not taught to read or write. They figured they were not allowed rights of citizenships, ownership, inheritance, personal decisions. You see what I'm saying? The full-blooded Indians got treated like crap. I'm glad it's thundering right now because I can feel it's thundering where I'm at. Treated them like crap, y'all. You see that? You see the difference? They were put in the worst conditions because they hated pure blood. So if you want to know why they have been treating blacks so bad all this time and what the real reason is, the proof is in the pages, baby. It's in the records. That's why the Native Americans started leaving us and going with them. They wanted to be treated better, and they started noticing how they were treated better with the white man. So after we helped them out, after they was going through the ice age, right, fled to South America before the colonizers came, because they was here before the colonizers too. We helped them out. We welcomed them in and showed them our way. That's why their hair is straight, y'all. They came from Alaska. They had to have that long hair, and they like the Caucasian man had, because they got to stay warm. It was cold. And we brought them in like brothers and sisters. And we did breed with them. We did. And then they turned their back on us. And we've been in this fight ever since. Been in this fight ever since. Some of them are coming out of it. Some of them are not. Okay? But this was on my heart to share with y'all tonight because it's so much of it going around right now. I'm talking about it's so many platforms that's speaking on indigenous practice peoples, voodoo and hoodoo and spiritual practice and Christian. And these Christians is turning up. Now for my Christians out here that y'all like, that's something you got there as a hoodoo practitioner, and I know a lot of hoodoos that still go to church. Okay. Because that's what they was doing back then too. Because, mainly because it was forced on them. But a lot of them still held on to their faith. And it's fine. Because hoodoo is not a religion. So you can practice hoodoo and still go to church. But you see these preachers going on these platforms trying to expose women and men that are hoodoos and E5 practitioners, trying to say they kind of kicked them out their churches. They never anything outside of Jesus. And it's melanated people, y'all. Our skin folk and your kinfolk. These platforms I'm talking about are men, are melanated men going in on. And why they always going in on the women? It's male witches out there. They always going in on the women. The female witches, right? They always going after the women. And it's always these men. They always got to have our name in their mouth. Because that's a black preacher. That Louisiana pastor. With that baby formula situation, that was a black preacher. It's a witch. It's a witch. What the F? Y'all, this is crazy. This is crazy. I'm so over all of this stuff, and it's just rising so much now. It's at the door now. You see what I'm saying? Man, I had Jehovah's Witness mail me something. I've been getting mail. They knocking on the door. And that's the thing. Why do Christians do that? Y'all know me. Well, y'all may or may not know me. Or how about that? But as a bruja, I do not go to churches and try to pass out flyers to churches. I do not go to anywhere for that. No, no, like when I do my work, I go to locations that I know welcome me. I told somebody about this a while back. I specifically go to spiritual events, mystical markets, witch markets, voodoo markets, hoodoo markets, because I know I'm not gonna have to worry about being harassed because I have been harassed when I'm in other environments. I have been harassed in bars. I have been harassed in bars, which is crazy. I feel like Christians drink the most, which is letting the spirit get in you, which is why I don't drink, y'all. Because consuming alcohol awakens spirits. That's why it's called spirits. So they love to drink. And then them demons start going off on people. So that's why I haven't been working in bars recently. So I'm like, I've been discriminated against in different areas. So I stick to events geared toward what I do. And that's the best one. You don't see me butting my nose in other territories that I don't need to. So why do Christians always do that? They be knocking on your door trying to get you to come to Jesus. If you really that influential, you wouldn't need to do all that. Because they still applying effing pressure, okay? Like they did back then. It's their tactic. You gonna take this Bible. We're gonna come to your doorstep. I had to put a sign up. No trespassing. Okay? Stop knocking on my goddamn door. I was in the middle of a ritual one time and one pulled up on me. I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, and I never have been. And I ain't got nothing against Jehovah's Witnesses, but I done heard some stories. I done heard some horror stories about Jehovah's Witness. I didn't grow up as I didn't grow up as a Jehovah's Witness. I grew up as a Church of Christ child, but I'm like, I done heard some horror stories about that Jehovah's Witness, baby. I thought Church of Christ was tough. With the stuff that I heard about Jehovah's Witness, I was like, dang, we didn't even have that. I was like, dang, I don't want to get into that topic because I don't want to offend nobody, but I have heard some horror stories about some ex-members. By some ex-members that no longer practice that faith. So look, y'all, that was the main thing I want to talk about tonight. I had to get that off my spirit and off my soul and out here, especially with the huge volume of speaking of brujas and witches and shamans right now in a negative way for some reason. Like y'all just can't keep our name out y'all mouth and just mind your own business. Why do you, that's another thing. Why do you have to pour hate on another person's spiritual practice to get people to see yours as better? That's a slave tactic. That's an enslavement tactic, actually. Because I have never demonized nobody else's spiritual practice. I just tell people I do not identify as a Christian, even though I was raised as one. I'm not about to tell you, you better stop believing in Jesus. Because I know who Yeshua is. I do believe in Yeshua. I believe in Yeshua, and Yeshua is not a Christian. I believe in his Christ and what he did. And I believe that they crucified that man because they hated him. Christians crucified Jesus. Y'all better stop playing, okay? Let's ring the bell on there. Hold on. Christians crucified Yeshua. Stop playing. And the same Christians trying to pretend like they use his death as a symbol of our worship to him and devotion to him. Man, they killed the man. People betrayed the man. His own people. You know what I'm saying? So look, y'all. If y'all would like to send me a donation, I really would appreciate it. If y'all want to come to my my Euro market this Sunday, please do. And it's an indoor event, so even though it's storming right now, you ain't got to worry about getting rained on because it's indoors, okay? So you'll be nice and dry. We will have a food vendor, okay? We have a food vendor this time. I didn't have a food vendor last time, so I had to order everybody pizza. I'll make sure we get fed, but we do have a food vendor. So be prepared to eat good. If y'all want to get readings, I will be doing readings this time. I didn't do readings at the Witches Conjuring Festival because I wanted to focus on people that, supported me and came and them getting, money. And a lot of them was doing readings. But since I didn't have a reader this time, I'm going to be the one doing readings at this event. So if you would like to get a reading by me, I'll be doing readings at a discounted rate. You know what I mean? If you would like to get one. And also, y'all know y'all can shop at my website, goddessontherise.life, or y'all can come by and y'all can buy something from me in person as well as my other vendors, okay? And help us celebrate the darkest time of the year, the winter solstice, and the return of the sun, okay? And like I said, people practice Yule differently, but if you are somebody, that's another thing. That's how Christianity, aka Christmas, and Yule got combined, because people started using the return of the sun They use Jesus because he's the son as the deity, like what people use Ra as the sun did to return of the sun. But it was really originally the turn of the actual sun outside and the rebirth of the sun. But then they was talking about they used it as the resurrection of Christ, which was Easter, and then Christmas is supposed to be his birthday. You know what I'm saying? So this is not a Christmas holiday, but if you celebrate Christmas, the traditions that they got Christmas from came from Yule. It did. And I'm going to be talking about that too. So y'all can know where the colors came from, the evergreen tree came from, and all that. The star, which is a five-pointed star, a pinnacle, on top of the tree. So I'm saying all that is paganism and, spirituality. So if we're going to do it, we might as well do it right. All right. We might as well do it right. All right. So look, that is all I got for y'all. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. And also, y'all, a lot of people say they follow me here, so I appreciate all the likes I just got. A lot of people, when they see me in public, they tell me how much they follow me. They tell me how much they love what I talk about. Then show your gratitude by liking this post, okay? If you don't do nothing else, you may not have money to support me right now, and I totally get that. Times have been hard with that shutdown, with the food stamps freeze and all that stuff. I get it. And people got kids and families, and you got yourself and stuff like that. But do a like. Liking helps me reach other people that can support me so I can keep doing this, okay? All right, so like the post. Don't just look at me and don't like the post. Like it, share it, subscribe, okay? It's that is support. That is big time support because as we done hit over 1K now, and YouTube will start helping me find other people so the page can continue to grow, okay? And I need that, all right? So look, y'all, I'm gonna ring this bell, send this energy back to spirit, okay? Thank y'all so much for listening and tuning in, and please go back and read this and share this with somebody that needs to hear this, all right? Earth, air, fire, water, spirit. Until next time, y'all, happy Thursday, happy Jeweave Day, happy I think we have a new moon coming tomorrow, actually. So we got a new moon coming tomorrow. So let's get ready for this new moon. Go ahead and do your rituals to manifest your new beginnings, y'all. Peace, love, and balance. Copper Queen checking out.